Hello, hello. This is your host of The Gist, Chris Vetrano, back again to deliver everything happening in pop culture and entertainment news this last week. And it's going to be a jam packed episode because I've got to cover the Grammys, lots going on from last Sunday's event. Plus, The Real Housewives of New Jersey premiered its 13th season this week. And wow. I am so excited to have these women back. So all that's to come. But before we get to it, let's just do some quick, give you the gist, if you will, on a couple of things happening in pop culture, bubbling in pop culture. First, of course, this Sunday is the Super Bowl. So I know that some of y'all sports fans this is your high holy holiday. But that is not my sports. My Housewives, those are my sports. A reunion episode, that is my Super Bowl. So just so that we're grounded in that, but what I am looking forward to is, of course, Rihanna's Super Bowl halftime show. We've been talking about it on the podcast. It's one of my most anticipated things of the year because I also am expecting that Riri is going to deliver something at the end of the performance, which is going to be an announcement of either one, a tour, which I have predicted several times now on this podcast, if you've been listening, and two, maybe even more music. There is rumors that because Apple is sponsoring the halftime show, that they're actually setting it up that she might live drop a new album at the end of the performance. Okay, so now that I'm shaking physically because I can't wait, my anticipation is up for Rihanna. So very excited about that. Plus, I do like some Super Bowl commercials. Back in the day, watching the Super Bowl was like an event because you saw all of the commercials for the first time. Of course, there's the epic Britney Pepsi commercials that I still to this day watch on YouTube, especially on a late Saturday night. I might even know some of the dances. But yeah, so there's these epic commercials. I think the downside is that now with the internet, the commercials always get leaked. And so there's not really a reason to like tune into the commercials during the Super Bowl, which for me just means that I only tune in for the halftime show. But there is one commercial coming this year that I'm very excited about because it has the stars from Clueless, my favorite movie of all time. They're reuniting for a Super Bowl commercial, Alicia Silverstone and Elisa Donovan, who is also one of the most underrated legends that she was in 90210, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She is so good in Clueless and plays, of course, Amber, an iconic character. So they are revisiting or recreating their famous debate scene for a Super Bowl commercial. And so I am so excited about that. So yeah, Super Bowl this weekend. I'm sure we'll have some thoughts next week on Rihanna. Hopefully we'll have lots to talk about. Maybe her tour, maybe her album. Maybe we'll be deep diving on the Rihanna album this time next week. Guys, can you imagine? So exciting about that. Also happening in pop culture, another blast from the past. I Know What You Did Last Summer is rebooting their film franchise. And Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt are signed on for the new sequel. So that coming off of the Scream success of bringing those movies back, they are doing it again now with I Know What You Did Last Summer. And that first movie, I grew up loving these like slasher movies. I thought that Scream was definitely the best of all of those kind of slasher films from that era. But I mean, there is no better cast that represents the 90s than Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr., Ryan Phillippe, and Sarah Michelle Gellar. So unfortunately, two of those people are not coming back because if you saw the film, you would understand why. But Freddie Prinze and Jennifer Love Hewitt are making a return to the franchise, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Also, we mentioned the Britney Pepsi commercials, so I will say another big headline this week, or another thing people are talking about, is Britney posted a video on her Instagram of her singing "Oops, I Did It Again," her iconic hit, live on her Instagram. And the video was just of like the ceiling or something while she was singing. But yeah, she mentioned in the caption that she recorded it while she was, or actually, it was a caption of another thing that she posted later, where she said, "Oops, I didn't mean to actually post that. That was a video that I had taken when I was in the studio." Uh, and that has fans going wild, because this seems to be that Britney has confirmed that she is in the studio, maybe working on new music. And so, of course, lots of thoughts coming out of that. Um, as I mentioned on a previous episode, I'm not ready to talk about Britney because she is my ultimate and she is my number one, and she has been through it. So I still can't bring myself to record the Britney episode that we need for the gist, but it will come. It will come. But people are very excited at just the thought of Britney being back in the studio and potentially delivering more music. And of course, I'm one of those people, so had to mention it here. But other than that, let's leave Britney alone. Let's let Britney kind of like figure out what she wants to be, who she wants to be in a post-conservator life. And that's all I'm going to say about that for now. But also an update on the Real Housewives of Ultimate Girls Trip drama came out this week. So last week we talked about it a little bit. We knew that Brandi Glanville and Caroline Manzo had exited Morocco early from filming the season 4 of the Ultimate Girls Trip franchise. There were a lot of rumors and speculation that there was an altercation. Then it turned to potentially some kind of like sexual assault. Well, it has now been confirmed by Peacock, the channel that we are going to, or the, I guess, streaming platform that is going to deliver it to us. Who knows when? But when they do, they released a statement that Brandi did in fact touch Caroline's breast and vaginal area. Which is what led to her departure, and that Caroline chose to leave on her own accord. And then now an investigation is going. So it's not looking good for Brandi. I don't think that she is going to be back on our Bravo screens anytime soon. I am a little interested because she did so good on Traitors, and she showed up so well on that series, and they just announced that it's getting a season 2, which I don't think made sense for them to bring Brandi back to that anyways. She's already done it and played the game, but they are filming a reunion on the 28th of February. And so are they allowing Brandi to film that? I think they have to. She was such a big part of the season. But I don't know. I have a feeling that Peacock, if they're facing some sexual assault allegations, because that is what it is. Despite Brandi's antics on some of the other series and some of her previous history with maybe taking things a little too far with some of the women, if no means no, and if Caroline did not welcome that, it is sexual assault. And so it's unfortunate, to say the least, for her, because I also think she was potentially going to be back in some capacity on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills new season, which also kicked off filming this week. We've already seen Dorit out and about with the camera crews, so looks like Dorit is back in some capacity. Rumors are flying that maybe she won't be back full time, but who knows? Maybe she'll bring something new to the table that will give her that full-time status. But I don't think that we're going to see a Brandi Glanville return. And as I said last week, I also don't know that Caroline's going to return to New Jersey, which was the rumor, in a future season, because she may have just about had it. I don't think we're going to hear much more about it other than let it play out on the show whenever Peacock decides to deliver season 3, and then again to season 4. So that's happening. Quick kind of like run of the mill on what's happening on the Real Housewives over the last week. Salt Lake City, the finale wrapped, the reunion wrapped. So last week I was talking about how there was going to be part 2 of 3, and then we ended with the part 2. And I realized that part 3 was supposed to be the sit down one-on-one between Andy and Jen Shah, which never came to be, which is why they originally had said that there was going to be a 3-part reunion, and then now it's only a 2-part reunion, which, you guys, fine by me, because I think there wasn't enough to cover in the season. I felt like we were recycling some of the things we had already talked about in the first episode of the reunion. We started talking about them again in the second episode. So I think we were better off with just the 2-parter. It did end with a nice moment between Meredith and Lisa blowing out birthday candles together, potentially hope for a rekindled friendship between the two of them in the upcoming season, because we really need it right now. None of the cast outside of Lisa and Whitney are getting along, and I don't know where we're gonna go, and we need some peace among these women. I'm hearing that it's just in a matter of days that Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is picking cameras back up to record the new season, and so I think, hopefully we are figuring out where we go from here with these women and where we go from here with this city, because this wasn't their best look. This is a bit of their, sophomore slump is what you might want to call it. And I think now we need to really figure out how to rise from the ashes. Also, Real Housewives of Miami. I mean, it's like literally, guys, every week I feel like I just say that they're on fire because they're just doing everything right. The Friends of deliver so much content. The actual housewives, like, they are on point. The Gringo dinner this week, shocking, because it's just like these grown women and now their husbands are getting involved in all of this drama, and it's wild. It's wild to watch week over week, and I love it. But, I'm also like, I think I mentioned last week, like, sometimes it starts to feel a little toxic when there isn't like any fun. And so I'm hoping that we get to a place where these women can have a little bit of fun with each other. But from the looks of what's coming in the upcoming episodes, I don't have a lot of hope. But I'm going to be watching it because it still looks as entertaining as ever. So I'm here for it. Miami, another just killer episode. They are really firing on all cylinders. And then Real Housewives of Potomac delivered its finale, and they always, have a great finale in previous years. I think this one was no different. It was a extended episode, and we had our normal sort of like hour-long episode of the finale and the finale party, where we got to see Candace's long-awaited new music video with Trina. The ladies got to respond and react to that. We got some closure among the women. Karen left the party early after allegations flew again about her potential or alleged affairs. So we didn't have a ton of resolve with Karen, but I thought it was a good episode. I thought that it ended the season with, a nice period in most ways. But then, of course, after the party, we got to see Juan and Robin's wedding play out, which I think was the plan. Was that, I couldn't tell if, Bravo cameras were actually there or if they were just using footage that potentially Robin provided from some kind of videographer. But we got to see some of the wedding play out. We saw Juan and Robin tie the knot after, what feels like 19 seasons of them talking about getting re-engaged. And dealing with a prenup, which she never got around to. So, it was nice. We're getting to see them walk into the sunset. We're getting to see them sort of on their way to this new married life for the second time, and hopefully more successfully. And then we got just the final little editor's note, which was to reveal that Robin found out that Juan had alleged affair again right before the wedding, and that Robin knew about it previously, and that she actually knew about it prior to filming. So that was, a real nice way to end the season and that love story. So What was even better though is that following the episode, Andy Cohen had Robin scheduled to be on Watch What Happens Live for just to be his guest as to talk about the finale, and of course, like because they knew that they were going to have the wedding footage, talk about the wedding. So it was a pre-scheduled thing. But what Andy didn't know at the time is that all this news was going to break. That Robin knew that Juan had some kind of relationship with this woman, her story that she ended up selling on Patreon. I talked about that last week. She ended up kind of like rehashing that story, I guess, for Andy. But I will say Andy did not let off the gas. You know, sometimes I'm like, Andy's got to ask the hard questions and he doesn't deliver those. In this case, I felt like you could see that Andy, as the executive producer of this series, was annoyed with her. You know, he asked the questions like, oh, you're on a reality show and you knew that this was taking place. So why not tell the producers what was going on? Because at the end of the day, that is your job as a reality star, is to tell us what's going on. And yeah, she didn't do that. And she, you know, she had an answer for everything. I thought that she didn't like back down from anything, but none of it really made any sense. She tried to kind of skate around it. She talked about the fact that both Giselle and Ashley knew about this alleged affair, or the rumors of the affair prior to filming as well. And, you know, he asked why not bring that up. And she kind of was just like, oh, this isn't my storyline. You know, it wasn't impacting us at that very moment. So it wasn't anything for us to cover and tell. Andy's like, but you guys had no problem accusing Chris Bassett of, you know, looking at women the wrong way or texting women the wrong way. And when it comes down to that, you guys have no issues. But when it's something that's actually happened and you have information that that Juan did in fact at least pay for a hotel room for this woman, and that's the only thing that Robin can really, you know, not kind of skate around, is because we have the receipts literally about from that. But yeah, she just kind of delivered you know, a watered down response, and I think it's all we're going to get from her. So the rumor is that the Potomac reunion, which kicks off this next week, is a 3-part reunion, 2 parts with all the ladies, and then a 3rd part, which is going to be a sit down with Andy and Robin. And I don't understand why, because we got that on Watch What Happens Live this week, and I don't need to see her sort of skate around the same things all over again. So I don't know that we need that in a 3rd part of the reunion, but yeah. So that's the kind of Real Housewives of Potomac notes from this week. But now, guys, let's get right into it. Sunday night was the Grammys, music's biggest night. And, you know, in the past few years, I haven't really tuned into the Grammys as much because all of the sort of appeal of it and the excitement of it is really lost on me after my time working in the music industry and seeing kind of the behind the scenes and understanding kind of now what goes into it and the political game that the Grammys and these award shows really are. But I was interested. I felt like there was enough sort of that I wanted to kind of dive into this year, and I wanted to see kind of take place a couple of good performances. I was very interested in what was going to happen with the Sam Smith, Kim Petras performance, and then obviously getting to see our first transgender Grammy winner accept her award was really wonderful. And so I'm glad that I tuned in for that reason. But obviously we've got a lot of winners. Lizzo walking away with record of the year for About Damn Time. I don't know if it was like the record of the year for me. I definitely thought Adele was going to be the winner of that. But you know, I like Lizzo. I think that she's talented, and I think that she's done a lot in the last few years, and so she deserves to be celebrated. And so I'm good with it. Album of the year, Harry Styles. He was a big winner on Sunday night, but winning album of the year was obviously a huge milestone for him. I think that personally, I think that probably made sense. I know that there was a lot of upset folks that Beyonce didn't take home that award for Renaissance. In fact, there's clips online of Harry walking up to accept the award. And while he was giving his speech, people in the audience were screaming that Beyonce should have won and telling him to get off the stage. And, that's disrespectful and not here for that. But Harry's House did win as album of the year. And I think the big surprise was that Bonnie Raitt took Song of the Year. Again, I thought a Harry Styles, a Taylor Swift, even Lizzo there, Adele, of course, Easy on Me. I thought those were kind of some of the shoe-ins. But her Bonnie Raitt with Just Like That was the winner of Song of the Year. And I don't think that there was anybody more surprised about winning that award than Bonnie Raitt herself. I mean, she was genuinely could not believe that her name was being called up to the stage to accept that award. And that's really wonderful. And then like I said, Sam Smith and Kim Petras won for Unholy for pop duo and group performance, and then performed it with a very controversial satanic style performance of the song that was introduced by Madonna. And, that is where people are now really talking about Madonna's appearance at the Grammys, and everyone's going off about like how she looked and what her face looked like. And people are posting like side by sides. And, why do we have to break people down in that way? Like, I mean, yes, Madonna doesn't look normal. She doesn't look like she normally looked. She looks like she's had a lot of plastic surgery and a lot of work done. But, if Madonna feels good about that, then let Madonna be Madonna. I think that like we sometimes take that too far. And I don't like some of the things that I've seen online being so nasty to her. So that's not great because Madonna is a legend. She's going out on a, tour to celebrate her 4 decades of hits. And I mean, not a lot of people in the world can say that. So let Madonna look like whatever she wants to look like, honestly. But what I thought was more interesting and people aren't talking about is she was so bossy during her like introduction of this Unholy performance. She was like, basically like telling the crowd that they were falling asleep. And then at one point, she was like saying, "This is where you make noise." And I just started thinking like, oh, is this what the tour is going to be like? Like if people aren't going nuts enough or if people aren't dancing enough, like is she going to like stop the show and, bring the lights on and chastise everyone? That to me was more of the headline about Madonna than what her face looked like. And, but there was, I think a lot of the winners were a bit predictable. I did want to see how, the Beyonce stuff played out, if she was going to break the record, which she did. So congrats to Bey fans. Beyonce is now the most decorated Grammy Award winning artist of all time. The best part about when she tied for her first win of the night, she wasn't present because I guess stuck in traffic. Because I guess, when you're Beyonce, you don't plan ahead that you're going to be at the Grammys and that you're in LA and maybe there's traffic. So, yeah, who knows? But she eventually made it to the show, and in order to break the record and also deliver some like real great memeable moments from the audience. What I loved about the Grammys, I think my favorite part of just tuning in was the audience shots. Or every time that Trevor Noah was the host was in the audience to announce the next presenter or performer, and no one in the audience was paying attention. And none of them knew that they were on camera. At one point, Ben and Jen are seemingly having an argument, just sitting right next to Trevor Noah announcing, and then Jen realizes like, oh, we're on camera, so I should probably button up. but it was like wild. And then there was like one point, it was I made a note of it because I loved it so much. There was like a security guy, a guard, or I guess maybe one of the producers of the show that was just going around yelling at people to sit down because they were, not supposed to be standing during the shot, but he himself was the one that was actually in the shot yelling at everyone. So that was wild. That was like every time that they cut to the audience, it was just pure chaos, and I loved that. Other notables, people are upset. Aaron Carter was not included in the in memoriam. He, obviously passed away last year and was part of the music community. Though I don't know that he was ever really part of the Grammy community. I don't know that to be a fact. So potentially that was why, but people are a bit outraged about that. And then hip hop's 50th anniversary tribute, that was really incredible. It was awesome to see all of those performers on the stage together and just reliving some of those like amazing, iconic hip hop moments from the past. I really loved it. I was like more than mildly disappointed about Missy Elliott wearing a face mask during her section. Like, I vaguely remember seeing Missy Elliott on another, I don't remember if it was an award show or what it was, but she was clearly lip syncing her raps and was not able to keep up. And that is all I could think was she knew that she cannot keep up with her own music anymore. And so this time she just wore this like crazy face condom that covered her, everything but her eyes. And it's like, girl, like, I don't know, maybe just don't perform anymore. She's obviously a huge staple in the hip hop community and has such a story to tell in terms of her impact to that genre. But yeah, that was disappointing because it felt like very artificial and that she wasn't actually having to do anything but just sort of like move around. So that is kind of I think that's all the things about the Grammys that I have to say. I thought it was a good show. Red carpet looks. Taylor Swift looked impeccable. I loved her little crop top dress. She also, for those of you Taylor Swift Easter egg hunters, the dress was inspired and by a similar dress that she wore on the Speak Now and era. And so people are speculating that Speak Now is coming. There was also a strange interaction between her and Trevor Noah at one point where Trevor Noah talked about having her fans go after the chickens in order to reduce the price of eggs. It didn't seem like it made any sense really at the time. But again, as part of the Speak Now era, there is a music video where Taylor is with chickens. And so fans are going wild that she's releasing even on the Grammy red carpet and in the Grammy programming, she's still releasing Easter eggs to us to reveal kind of what's coming next. But she looked great. Shania Twain looked like a freaking clown, and I don't care what people say. People were like, "Oh, it's like Bob Mackie fun and kitschy." No, the wig it alone was horrendous. The red wig. If you have not seen this look, do yourselves a favor and just Google it because it is so wild. And I love Shania Twain, and she's coming out with this new era and her new album just dropped, and she's got pink hair and then she's got blonde hair and she's like living her best life in wigs. But the red one, no, it was like a really bad Halloween costume, Ariel, Little Mermaid red wig. It was horrible. And then the cow print suit with this like wild hat. Oh God, I couldn't believe that she even thought that that's what she should wear to the Grammys. It was a total disaster. So definitely worst dressed for me was her. I thought Camila Cabello looked incredible. I loved what Harry Styles. Now, see, that was like a wild look that his red carpet look, what he wore for sitting in the audience was kind of more toned down. It was just kind of a suit, like a crop jacket suit that I thought looked great. His Bob Mackie actually inspired outfit that he wore for his performance was also like kind of cool disco ball. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. But what I loved was his red carpet look. It was this like rainbow uh, kind of jumper, and he looked great. So that's kind of the red carpet looks that stuck out to me. But yeah, so that's the Grammys. They have come and gone, and now here we are with another year of music in front of us. So we'll see what happens of the next year, cover it here, and then come back to talk about the Grammys next year. So let's move on to the Real Housewives of New Jersey premiere, because it premiered its 13th season this week. And, coming off of last season, there was a lot of toxicity in this cast. So Teresa did not have, of course, I'm talking about our matriarch of the franchise, Teresa Giudice. She did not have her best season. She did not look great. People were really coming for her and her relationship to Louis. She had her epic meltdown in Nashville, where, by the way, the bar that they were at was just atrocious, and all the things that they were doing in Nashville were like, yeah, this isn't where you go in Nashville. If you want to come to Nashville, you reach out to me, or you go to my site, listenitsvetrano.com, because I will tell you where to go in Nashville if you're coming to visit. None of those places that the Housewives went are on that list. But yeah, she had her epic meltdown where she threw the entire table of food basically on Marge and the rest of the cast. But it really ended in a negative way, especially between her and her brother Joe and his wife Melissa. The reunion ended in a really negative space for them. They were seemingly done. They weren't going to have this relationship anymore. But they're brother and sister, and so you hate to see that happen on these shows. But so it was a little like we weren't sure where we were going. We were walking into this new season unsure of kind of where we were going to land with. We knew that there were some new women in the cast. We knew that there was like this tension between the two of them. But all I can say is that this is going to be Teresa's redemption season. She showed up. She looks amazing, first of all. She like I could like feel her energy radiating through the screen. She was so positive. She just seems so happy. The scene where she's interacting for her 50th birthday with Louis's family, she truly has her family back, and you can just kind of a new family, I guess, and you can just tell that she's in such a good space. She's seeing a therapist, and she had that sit down with Marge after they had such an explosive end last season. They were in a place that I never thought that they could rebound, and she apologized, and she was just like honest and open and vulnerable. And as she called it, she was raw as a cucumber, which maybe that's what we should title this episode, Raw as a Cucumber. I love that. But yeah, I was feeling the feels for Teresa. Also, I thought she looked amazing in her 80s look for Melissa's skating party. I thought she was best dressed there for sure. And then also her daughters. It's so crazy. They're all so grown up. And I felt like emotional because I was like, oh, wow, I've seen some of these girls like literally be born on this show. And now they're like full-fledged women. They're all really beautiful, of course. And, it's really nice to see Teresa in this spot. So that was really great. And she came off really well in this episode. And I have a feeling that this is going to be her season where, we're getting to see the old Teresa that people really fell in love with, which is why she's such a staple in this franchise. And I think last season she was like nearing sort of this toxic space that has in the past led to Housewives being put on pause or being taken off the show. And so I think she's kind of in a place now where she can like truly just be herself and be happy. She also, Dolores, continues to reign. Her confessional look, she looks incredible. Dolores has had such a glow up on this show. And I love Dolores. Like I want her in my family. I want Dolores to be my aunt, or my cousin or my sister or anything really, because she is amazing and she's so loyal to her family. And I love everything about her, but man, is she scary. When you cross her, I was shaking for Jen when she came and pulled her out of that party and she said, let's go talk. And I think Jen was hoping that that was going to be a reconciliation talk. And nope, nope, it wasn't. Yeah, Dolores is scary, but also in kind of the best way. And so happy to see her back and happy with her new man. Also, the thing that I thought the Jersey premiere did really well, that I think other franchises need to take notes, is they introduced us to these new women right away, and with like clear packages as to like who these women were, helped define their personalities, and then like also kind of explained why they were in these scenes. Because I feel like, especially like on Salt Lake City this year, it was like the friends of, it was like they just sort of were popping up and then they were like part of drama and you weren't sure, are you a friend, are you like a random person at a party? And they never really like explained who's who and why they're there, and they didn't do that in a really great way. And even for the friend of, oh gosh, I'm blanking on her name. I want to say her name was Jennifer, but she was Marge's friend, and she arrived, and they like immediately explained why she was there, and she started interacting with the cast. And obviously, we saw Tiki Barber and his wife that no one can remember back from last season. I have a feeling that's probably our only cameo from them this season. And then Jackie, who was full time status last season, was back. She is in a friend of role this season. And, even she was there, although her interaction with Rachel, the new housewife, when Rachel's like talking to Melissa and trying to like deep dive on what just happened between Jennifer and Dolores. And Jackie comes for her and is like, you haven't looked at me once in this conversation. And like, I'm here filming too. And it's clear that Jackie was like feeling her demotion in that moment and like, okay, this woman is not giving me the time of day because I'm a friend of. And I think that Jackie realized like I better say something so that I have a reason to be on the show. And then so I guess we'll talk about Rachel. I'm not sure about Rachel. She's coming on as a friend of Melissa, so she's part of the Team Joe and Team Melissa stuff. And so I don't know where she's going to go, because Joe and Melissa of it all, they don't have a clue like what they're doing this season. They think they're walking into this season saying, okay, people didn't like Teresa last year, so we're going to like lean on that and really go for her to try to, I think, probably try to get her off the show. And that is backfiring big time, because now it's clear they have no other storyline and they have no other purpose to be on this cast other than Teresa. And if Teresa is truly done with them, there is no reason for them to be on this cast. So I don't know if they're playing that the right way. But anyways, Rachel is her friend. And then we also saw that she mentioned her husband, John, and said he was a model. And then they showed these like horrific photos of him, which were clearly not model shots, or if they were taken by his mother while he was in high school. And then the producers asked her, has he done anything like professional in terms of modeling? And I think the credit was Law and Order. I didn't realize that models were on Law and Order. Like, wouldn't that make you an actor? So he was an extra on Law and Order, and I guess that's his big modeling gig. So no idea what's happening there. Very strange. And then the other newbie, Danielle, loving her. I like feel like I'm already in love with her and her family. Her children are hilarious. Her husband is like definitely got the looks to, replace Evan as the hottest house husband in Jersey. And she is Jersey-licious in every single way. She's bringing it. She is so entertaining already. I love the energy that she's bringing to the show, and I think it's what the show needed, because again, I said, we were coming off of a really toxic sort of end to last season, and I think one of the things that the cast was missing was some fun. And so, Jennifer Aiden is of course really fun, and it's great to see her back and having some fun with Teresa. But adding in Danielle to this mix is going to be exactly what the franchise needs. So I'm super excited about that. So yeah, this premiere episode was exactly what Jersey needed. We needed some new life, new energy, and it felt like old Jersey again. It felt like we were like getting back to just like having fun with these women, and the right levels of drama, the right levels of cattiness that just doesn't feel like it's so toxic. Now, I know obviously we're going to watch the Joe and Teresa sort of dissolution of their family sort of happen on the show and on this season. As we know, Joe and Melissa don't show up to Teresa's wedding, and we know that they just sort of are going to end in a pretty bad place. So that won't feel great to see, but I think, ultimately the rest of the cast is really like leaning in and doing the work that they need to do to make this a really entertaining season. So I am so excited that it's back. So that's Jersey this week. Very excited about the new season, and yeah, all of the entertainment news that we covered this week. Again, the Super Bowl is this weekend, so good luck to Rihanna, who is the team that I'm voting for out of the Super Bowl. And of course, we'll be discussing that next week right here on The Gist. Before we go, I, of course, have to say, don't forget to rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode of The Gist. And then you can follow me at CM Vetrano on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Slide into my DMs. Let me know what you'd like to hear more of. And and then I also want to shout out, it is my friend Ashley's birthday today, the day that the podcast comes out. It is her birthday. And I know that she's been listening, and she's been a huge supporter of mine. And so happy birthday, Ashley. I hope that you have a great weekend. And I hope that you all have an incredible week. And I can't wait to see or talk to you guys next week on The Gist. Bye.